You have some catching up to do. As you can see, I already have 10 badges.
Number 10, a Wooloo one-shot. Curtain up, fight the fights. Power scaling hasn't always been kind to Pikachu, so it's refreshing when Pokemon remembers that Ash's partner has been training for over 1,000 episodes.
I'm challenging you to a battle, right here and now.
With all that in mind, it makes sense why a newbie like Hop had no chance of victory, especially with an unevolved Wooloo. That doesn't stop him from challenging Ash though.
Double kick!
Iron Tail!
Thankfully, Pikachu wastes no time proving who's the very best and KOs Hop's Wooloo with a single strike. Plus, based on Pikachu's surprised reaction, it didn't even mean to win so quickly. That just goes to show that by the Masters 8 tournament, Ash and his starter was simply in a different league. Number 9, Articuno's Cold Front, battling in the freezing raid. On sheer numbers alone, this raid battle should have been a breeze. After all, it's Ash, Gary, Go, and Horace all teamed up against a single Articuno. And well, it definitely ends in bitter defeat, just not for the side you'd expect. Articuno's very first Blizzard attack completely destroys the team's first line of defense, and things only get chillier from there. Despite them using teamwork, type advantages, and even Pikachu, Articuno's overwhelming strength turned this raid battle into a glorified snowball fight. In the end, Ash and the others had to learn the hard way that they don't call Articuno a legendary bird for nothing.
Wait, is that your fault?
Arcanine!
Number 8, Krabby's time to shine. Round 1, begin. In Ash's quest to catch 'em all, a few partners, like Krabby, were sadly relegated to warming a spot on the bench. So Misty was understandably concerned when Ash decided to bust out this forgotten crab in the very first round of the Indigo League. But Krabby soon proved that her hesitation was totally unwarranted.
Executor!
Despite having zero real combat experience, the Benchwarmer stomped through every one of Mandi's Pokemon on its way to a clean 3-0 sweep.
Crab Hammer attack!
And just to rub some sea salt in the wound, it even evolved into a Kingler in the middle of the fight too. That's some fishy timing. Number 7, a shocking outcome. What's with Watson? Ash has had some extremely tough gym battles over the years. Unfortunately, his bout with Watson is not one of them. While it starts out normal enough, once Pikachu hits the field, it's lights out for all of Watson's team. There's no back and forth, no counterattack, and no time for the gym leader to scrounge up his dignity. Worst of all, Ash's partner had already been supercharged by one of Watson's own traps, meaning he had no one to blame but himself. Either way, the results are still pretty unanimous. Ash has literally been handed gym badges before, and yet this might still be his easiest victory yet. Number 6, Ash can't beat the heat. Flint sparks the fire. No matter how you cut it, losing 3-0 in a Pokemon battle has got to hurt. But it feels especially disrespectful that Flint used his own Infernape to thrash Ash's, along with his Weasel, oh, and his Pikachu too.
Weasel!
Yeah, Volkner puts it best. This fight was pretty much pointless, at least as far as determining a victor was concerned. From the very start up until the last blow, it was all too obvious that Flint was simply better than Ash. But thankfully, Infernape's red-hot power ignited Volkner's passion for battling again. It doesn't make Ash's loss any less embarrassing, but at least it was for a good cause.
I'm coming, Pikachu!
Number 5, Charizard fires up. The double trouble header. By the time Ash ventured to Johto, he was already a pretty respectable trainer. Enough so that, when the rookie Casey challenged him to a battle, it wasn't going to be much of a contest. But instead of going easy on her by choosing one of his newer teammates, he led with Charizard. Even Brock and Misty agreed it was a pretty cruel move.
Charizard!
Ash is gonna battle her with Charizard!
I think this game is gonna be a shutout.
As expected, the fire type completely burned through Casey's team in record time. A victory over a Pidgey, a Rattata, and a Chikorita isn't anything to marvel at, but the real damage was to Casey's pride. In fact, Charizard's flames were so hot that the poor trainer ended up leaving in tears. Number 4, Garchomp, top-down training. It takes a certain kind of hubris to think you can challenge a regional champ on a whim. Although, given how prideful Paul can be, it is pretty vindicating to see Cynthia utterly humiliate him on the battlefield. Or rather, Garchomp does, since that's the only Pokemon she needs to wipe out his entire team. No matter the moves, no matter the strategy, Garchomp easily sent each of Paul's partners back to the Pokemon Center. Not only does Cynthia win with just one Pokemon, but she doesn't even look particularly concerned either. So when someone as cocky as Paul forfeits a match, you know things must have been pretty bleak. Number 3, Charred Paris. The problem with Paris. Cassandra's lowly bug-type Pokemon was in dire need of an evolution. To help, Ash decided to throw a match in order to give Paris some much-needed confidence in battle. It was a good plan, but unfortunately, Ash's newly evolved Charmeleon didn't get the memo. Instead of taking it easy, the fire-type burned the poor Paris into an utter crisp, seemingly for no other reason than to assert dominance. It's hard to blame the downtrodden bug, since not even Ash himself could quell Charmeleon. In fact, when he did try to reason with his Pokemon, all he got was a flamethrower to the face.
What are you doing, Charmeleon?
Clearly, Charmeleon's the one who holds the badges in this relationship. Number 2, top of the pyramid. A pyramiding rage. Apparently, losing to Brandon is a family tradition. The Frontier Brain had already bested Paul's older brother in the past, and during this ill-advised rematch, Paul couldn't save himself from a similar 6-0 defeat. Actually, Ash's Sinnoh rival couldn't even maintain his composure. As Brandon's lead continued to widen, Paul only devolved into a pouting child, eventually refusing to give orders at all. Brandon didn't let Paul's attitude slide though, and offered the kids some serious tough love. This is not a pretty fight by any means, but it's hard to tell who got the worst of it, Paul's Pokemon or their trainer. Number 1, a semi-final SmackDown, the semi-final Frontier. Against the very best the Sinnoh League had to offer, Tobias made it all the way to the penultimate round with just a single Pokemon, And even when Ash used one of his most impressive teams to date, he couldn't beat Tobias either.
Darkrai, use Dream Eater!
In his defense, the Pallet Town hopeful did eventually fell the almighty Darkrai.
Now, use Dark Pulse!
But Tobias still had a Latios waiting in the wings to wrap things up.
Use Giga Impact!
In the end, Tobias would go on to win the whole Lily of the Valley conference, without even revealing 2/3 of his team. With that kind of feat, he didn't just preen on Ash, he boasted on the entire Sinnoh region altogether. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.